Rick Wilson is with us to look to the future, Republican strategist and co-founder of the Lincoln Project, and he's in Denver, Colorado. I am so glad to have you back on the program today. So much to ask you about, Rick. Welcome back.
Good morning. How are you?
I am well, thank you. Good to see you. We'll look to the future in just a second, but I do want to take one moment and relive yesterday with you, if I could, courtesy of your Lincoln Project social messages and tweets and Instagram. There were a couple of really brief ones I'd like to pull up. One just said President Joe Biden, and then there was this one. Donald Trump is no longer president. Donald Trump, I think we'll look at it on the screen if we could. Donald Trump is no longer president. What were you thinking and doing at that moment, Rick Wilson?
Well, it was the end of a very long journey, not only for the Lincoln Project and for the parts of the movement that we were in, but for me personally. I was one of the first major, I guess, if you will, Republican consultants or strategists in 2015 to say, this guy is unacceptable. He will destroy our party and our country. He is a corrosive force that will end in tragedy. And yeah, I take no satisfaction in having been correct about that. But I was, like everyone else in this COVID era, we were watching it on television and just trying to soak in that moment where, Joe Biden, you don't leave the presidency at the end of your term. The presidency leaves you. And Joe Biden in that moment at 11:47 yesterday, put his hand on that family Bible and took on that awesome responsibility. And I was watching it with a sense of relief and joy and exhaustion.
I bet, because you've been so active in getting the message out of, the case against Donald Trump as president. What happens now with his departure? Do you wind up Lincoln Project operations now?
I wish I could go on vacation now, but here's the thing. We set out to defeat Trump and his enablers and Trumpism. Now, we helped take out 4 of the U.S. Senate enablers, 4 of the worst of Trump's cheerleaders in the U.S. Senate. But Trumpism is an ongoing problem. It is a cultural problem, a social problem, a civic problem in this country that is an ideology that is corrosive, an ideology that is unsmall d democratic, and it's an ideology that we're looking at very closely. Because it was proximate to and essential to and central to an attempted takeover, an attempted insurgency attempt in the United States Congress on the 6th of January that we believe was a sign that they've moved into a dangerous new territory where violence and political, for lack of a better word, political terror are acceptable tactics. And we feel that is a completely unacceptable outcome. So we're going to be working against Trumpism and against the enablers of the 2022 election cycle.
So can I ask, people like Josh Hawley, Ted Cruz, people who continue to support Donald Trump even after that deadly violence on the Capitol, they are in your sights, are they?
Yes, they absolutely are. And it wasn't just that they supported Donald Trump. It's that they encouraged and fomented this attempted, takeover of the Capitol. They were out there saying to all those people, this is a conspiracy. Donald Trump won. It's all a lie. If only we could cancel all these African-American votes in the cities, we would have won. And that's what they were after. And they were driven by a conspiracy theory. And Cruz and Hawley and Blackburn and Johnson and many others pursued that conspiracy theory. They drove it. They used it to raise money. They used it to support their own political futures. Like Josh Hawley wants to be president, desperately wants to be president. That's why he was out there raising his fist to the rioters, raising his fist to the people that were going to come in the Capitol and try to murder Nancy Pelosi and Mike Pence and Republicans and Democrats alike.
Let me ask you, how potent a force, though, do you think Trumpism will be with him away in Florida and without his presidential bully pulpit?
Look, Donald Trump still owns the Republican Party. Lock, stock, and barrel. He owns it. There's nothing that this party can do to break that hold on the base voters of the party. There will be a long, long time in which Trump voters make up a majority cohort in every primary, and where the conspiracy nuts make up a majority cohort in every primary. So you will get more Trumpists, you will get more QAnoners, and you've also got the Trump family members. Laura Lee Trump planning to run for Senate in North Carolina. Ivanka Trump planning to primary Marco Rubio in Florida. John Jr.'s talking about running out in Montana. There are all these things that are going to sustain Trumpism. Now, the lack of his social media feed, the end of this Twitter feed, first off, is a blessed relief that has let America sleep at night in a lot of ways. But look, I think he is going to be persistent. He's kind of a viral creature, and he's going to find a way to get his message out there without, either through another social media platform that will take him and his followers will flock there, or some reconciliation with Twitter or some other modality.
Okay.
I don't think we've heard the last of Donald Trump, much to my chagrin.
But what you are starting to hear, I mean, maybe it's not in major circles, yes, but voices of people like Ben Sasse in that Atlantic piece warning of the GOP destroying itself from within if it continues to keep a place for QAnon, for conspiracy theorists. And I'm wondering, I mean, we just had some very interesting reporting overnight and into today about how QAnon, waiting for the Great Awakening that they expected yesterday, that there would be this Inauguration Day coup that would keep Donald Trump in power. And then when it didn't happen, there were things like, we gave it our all, take a breather. I mean, do you think that is done? QAnon as a force and a force within the party?
One thing we know about conspiracy theories is they have 3 tiers of adherents. You have the casual adherents who sort of go, oh, yeah, there must be something secret there. You have the people who are committed to exploring it and rounding it out and talking more about it. And then you have the what is usually the smallest number, who are the true believers, who actually think it's real. Now, normally that pyramid is inverted. Normally there's a tiny number of people who really think they're lizard alien people or cannibal pedophile rings, or that aliens built the pyramids. Normally it's a tiny number of true believers, a middle-sized number of moderately intense people, and a huge number of people who laugh and go, haha, UFOs are real. Okay? This case, QAnon's flipped upside down. There are few skeptics, a lot of people in the middle, and a huge number of people who are truly brought into it, who are unbelievably committed to this thing. I think it's going to be a long time till we shake QAnon out of our political and national life. And there will be another variation of this grift, another variation of this live-action role-playing conspiracy theory. And I think it will sustain for a long time because we live in an era now where that is fueled by Facebook. And we got rid of the Parler platform somewhat, but Facebook is the center sewage pipe of these conspiracy theories. It's where they get shared, promulgated, promoted, etc. So it's going to be there as long as Facebook's mechanisms allow it, the amplification of false and ludicrous conspiracy theories.
And if it is there and continues to have an influence within the Republican Party, then what do you think whether this may all lead to a formal split within the GOP?
I think a split is almost inevitable now. If Trump pursues the Patriot Party as he's promising to do, you break the GOP into 2 parties and you end up with something like the CDU and the CSU in Germany, or in there are a number of countries, there are a couple of different competing conservative factional parties. In this case, you would have a very, very energized, lower education level, higher age level, white political party that would be Trumpism. You would have you would probably have a much smaller traditional Republican Party. Trump has, again, he's dominated and broken the GOP in fundamental ways. So, people like me who would love to have a center-right party in this country are homeless right now. That might attract people like me if you had a party in that sort of character and organizational platform.